What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of New Jersey. This is season 14, episode 9. So let's get into it. So y'all know sometimes before we get into it, we get a little spicy, just a little bit. And on Saturday, it was announced, they announced more information about the alternative reunion for Real Housewives of New Jersey. So this is coming from All True Teas page, who got this from this Twitter account called RHONJ underscore obsessed. This account I see all the time, and honestly, most of the stuff that they have posted has been actual factual. So this is what they said. They said on July the 15th, the alternative reunion will be filmed. The two sides will watch the finale scene at Real separately and provide commentary, hashtag RHONJ. Then a blogger by the name of Martinis with Eddie said this, hashtag RHONJ will be filming a reunion with two sides just giving their takes separately. They will not speak to each other. Who asked for this? This literally is the after show, LOL. Send it back in the mail. So I actually agree with Martinis with Eddie. And the reason why is, like, even though I knew this was going to be what the alternative was going to be, because I was just like, what would an alternative reunion be besides Andy going to each lady one-on-one and asking them the hard questions? But this just does, like he said, this is an after show. You're going to show them clips and they're going to give their commentary. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be everybody trying to advocate for their job at this point. I think that's what it's going to be. Everyone begging to keep their job, because the fact that it's gotten to the point where they can't have an actual reunion means that this cast no longer works well together, and it's time to move on from one another. You know what I'm saying? And Andy said that what the Radar Online article said wasn't true. So I reported on this in one of the drama videos, as well as in one of the spicy corners. But basically, Radar Online said that Teresa, Dolores, Jennifer Fessler, and Rachel were only going to be the only 4 women asked back for season 15, and then they were going to build the cast that way. Andy came out and said, no, that's not true. And I said, well, okay, so what y'all doing? He said all they know is, like, they're pretty much going to put the cast on pause. And I said they need to be put on pause because y'all need to figure out what y'all about to do. So the last thing we're going to talk about before we get into the review is scheduling. So it looks like that episode 10 will not air until July the 14th. I don't know why it won't air on the 7th, but I'm guessing because it's supposed to be 4th of July weekend coming up. That is why, because, you know, 4th of July is on Thursday. But here around my parts of the area, people were setting off fireworks like on Sunday and Saturday. And I even saw people, you know, celebrating on the water. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know. But it does, to me, confirm what people were saying when the season started, that that basically this was going to be a short season, that we probably are only going to get like maybe 14 episodes, if that. I heard that it was only supposed to be 12, but I think we'll probably get 14 maybe, because you got that episode on the 14th, then you got the 21st, and then you got the 28th, and I can see them running the alternative reunion on August the 4th. Or maybe if not on the 4th, or they'll finish out the season on July the 28th. But yeah, you know, they don't go anywhere internationally because they couldn't get right. And also the place that they were going to, the house burned down. But basically, it's a wrap for them. Pretty much. All right, y'all. So I'm not on camera mainly because I'm tired. We had a family reunion on what's it called, on Saturday. And y'all, when I tell you that South Carolina heat beat me down because my family was hosting. So we were like running around helping serve people, getting drinks, helping, my cousin was parking lot ministry. We had over 50 people come. It was really nice. My granddad, we call him Poppy, he was just so excited and happy, and his siblings who are still living, they were there. So those would be like my great aunts and uncles, and I haven't seen them in a long time. So it was nice to see cousins that I haven't seen since I was a kid. It was a vibe. But when I tell you it was hotter than Satan's asshole on Saturday, and then it rained. It rained for like a good maybe 10 or 15 minutes. It was like misting, and then it just was humid and hot, and like I'm still trying to recover. Like all I want to do is lay in panties and a bra with the fan on and drink water all day. Your body, like my body is so tired. But that's not why we here. So let's talk about this episode. So first up, let's talk about the wedding. So we actually finally get to see Joe officiate Melissa's cousin's wedding. And for the most part, he did a good job. At one point, I thought he was about to make it about himself, but then he rerouted. So I said, okay, Joe. But I thought he did a good job officiating the wedding. I think the part that I like the most about the wedding is when the husband, not Melissa's cousin, told, Melissa's cousin, take a moment, take it all in. And they both closed their eyes and they like took a deep breath. And I just thought that was special, mainly because I think oftentimes when we are like the center of attention of like an event, whether you're getting married, it's your birthday, it's graduation, an anniversary party, or anything where you, or a promotion party or something like that, where you are the center of attention, sometimes you don't take in the moment. You're just like, you get overwhelmed. And I thought it was nice that he was like, okay, for a moment, let's just stop, take a deep breath, and just realize we got here. And I thought that was very sweet, especially with me trying to work on, I do this thing called fortune telling, which I learned where it's like you pretty much try to, I overthink already, but you pretty much try to guess what's about to happen or where things can go instead of just living in the moment. And I've been working really hard on just being present. So I thought that was like very special. I think the only thing I didn't like about the wedding was the decor. Like the trees, I felt like were blocking people's view of the actual ceremony. And but I did like that they were outside and they had the tent and they had the chandeliers hanging from them. But I just didn't like that the trees, I felt like, were blocking people. And then the way they had everyone sitting in the circle, and I was just like, the only time I like when people do like the circle thing is if the stage is in the middle of the walkway. So like people on each side can see everything, and that's not what they had. So it was kind of confusing to me. And I was like, I don't like that setup, but that's just me, I like looking at event pictures, and whether it's like a wedding or a celebration or a party, that's what my Pinterest is full of. It's me just looking at people's, different ideas for weddings and stuff. I ain't getting married anytime soon. Don't even got a man, but I enjoy looking at those pictures. So as the scene continues, we get this moment of Joe kind of like reflecting in the confessional where he's like, I'm not going to be at my niece's weddings, and my sister's not going to be at my kid's wedding. And he's just like, wow. Like, and I think it kind of hit him because I think he was enjoying, and I felt honored and was happy that he was the officiant of, Melissa's cousin's wedding. Because he was like, this is what Melissa's family is. They support each other. They love each other. And he's grateful to be a part of that. But I do think it bothers him that, like, dang, I will not be at my niece's weddings. I will not be a part of their lives. They won't be a part of mine. My kids won't have Teresa, and Teresa won't have them. And that's one of the harsh realizations of when you cut your family members off. And I a lot of people have valid reasons why they cut their family members off. It still doesn't make it any like it still doesn't lessen the hurt, I would say. Like, to think that the people that are supposed to be there for you aren't there for you sucks. And I don't know. Teresa might be feeling it too. I think she does. I think they all, after that whole bottle situation, it made me feel like they all still care about each other to a certain extent. Maybe they can find some type of reconciliation, but honestly, they need a therapist, and they need like therapy to really sit back and unpack the issues that they truly have with each other. because every time they try, they do it with a camera. And I'm like, no, y'all need to sit down and just really talk it out. Say what you mean what you say, and like really find some type of healing and closure. So let's talk about Danielle and Jennifer. So it's a few days after the aftermath of the altercation, and everyone is telling their side of the story. I'm going to be honest with you. Both of their stories, I was like, y'all not being completely honest. Like, we see Danielle at her house with her husband. They're rehashing the situation. Nate is just kind of like flabbergasted that it got to that point. Danielle feels like Jennifer is trying to destroy her reputation, trying to destroy her integrity, and she's just kind of like, everything shifted with Jennifer after the charity event. So I guess Jennifer really did feel some type of way that Laura couldn't come to the party. But more so what it seems like is Jennifer is tired of Danielle constantly trying to paint this picture that they set her up last year. Like, she keeps, like, you could tell Jennifer is like, she keeps harping on that we set her up last year, and that's not the case. But in Danielle's mind, that is the case. So she said, I told her she couldn't bring Laura. And then things kind of shifted. Now she's making jokes, she's taking digs, and she's really just trying to destroy me. And so she was just like, I'm having this party. So she's doing this launch party for bougie kids, aka glitters and sequins children. And so she's like, she's not invited, which makes sense. So they get to they just start again talking about the fight. Pretty much Danielle said it was a reflex, that when Jennifer shoved her, because she was like, she yoked me. And I said, girl, no, she didn't. She shoved you. But I guess Danielle is saying that where she's from, yoked means shoved. And I was like, oh, it has to be like, that's a northern thing, because in the South, especially with black people, when you be like, oh, someone just got yoked up, that means they got snatched, like that person grabbed them and like drug them. I've never heard anyone use the term yoke to like explain like, oh, she yoked her. In my mind, I was like, I was like, girl, she didn't grab you, Danielle, she shoved you. But different areas, different dialect, different vibes, different scene. So she was like, yeah. And then like every hair on my body stood up, and then I reacted. And I could tell based off of the way that Danielle was breathing in the last episode after like they broke up the fight, it was very much giving like she was running off of adrenaline, and it was a reflex. So I was like, okay, cool. The only thing that I disagreed with in this section is I felt like Danielle was trying to downplay the aggressive nature of both her and Jennifer. Like, don't get me wrong, I totally feel like Jennifer should not have put her hands on Danielle. I definitely think she shouldn't have done that. But I feel like Danielle needs to stop acting like they were having a civil conversation. You were like, you're dirty. Everyone was right about it. And you was pointing at her. You were getting in her, like, you were being aggressive, ma'am. So I'm just kind of like, if you're really supposed to be about that life, then you should have been prepared for whatever. Again, not saying that Jennifer had any right to put her hands on her, because I don't think she should have done that. But I'm just like, the conversation was getting heated. It was getting heated, and you trying to act like it was such a civil conversation and it wasn't, is wild to me. So then we switch over to Jennifer's house, Jennifer Aydin's house, and we see Jennifer Fessler, and it seems like Jennifer Fessler and Jennifer Aydin have like a cute little relationship. We then see Teresa pull up. They start talking about the fight, and she was like, well, she said you basically tried to say that she stole from the charity, and Jennifer's like, I didn't say that. I said she paid herself back first, and you're not really supposed to do that with a charity. And Jennifer Fessler agreed. So then Teresa was like, I'm sorry that the fight happened, but I didn't even see it. And they did point out that Teresa's head was turned when Jennifer shoved Danielle, and then when Danielle popped Jennifer back. And so Teresa was just kind of like, I didn't see anything. So she was like, can you show me? And Jennifer also is doing what Danielle did, trying to downplay like the shove, because ma'am, you took all of your energy to shove that lady. If there was a pool behind her, you could have pushed her into the pool with how forceful that push was. And so she was like, she was in my space, and so I pushed her out. And again, I know some people are like, no, Jennifer entered Danielle's space, Danielle entered Jennifer's space. At the end of the day, Jennifer put her hands on on Danielle first, and it got popping, and that's just what it is. It happened, and y'all, we just gonna have to accept that it happened. Was I happy to see Jennifer get hit? No, but I'm not gonna sit here and lie and be like, if someone shoved me as hard as Jennifer shoved Danielle, I wouldn't have reacted the same way. So Teresa ends up telling Jennifer, like, hey, I'm going to Danielle's like party. Are you okay with that? And Danielle, no, Jennifer is like, not really, but I can't tell you who you can't be friends with. So in her confessional, Jennifer is just kind of like, it does hurt my feelings, like, because had someone hit her, I would not be fooling with them. But I think also, Jennifer, this is a lesson in like loyalty, because a lot of people feel like Jennifer has always been Teresa's lapdog and lackey, but to me, that's the role that they all play. Like, Teresa has always had Jennifer be like her ride or die, and then Margaret has always had Melissa be that way, and then you had Dolores in the middle. Dolores is more so on Margaret's side, and then like that's like it's everyone's building their fractions at this point. It's Survivor, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just a lesson for Jennifer, like, girl, it is what it is. But then again, I think Jennifer is thinking of like the long game. Like, if I'm friends with Teresa, that means I will be liked by the public, or the large part of the fandom, which garners me more like visibility and like somewhat success, because she was on that Carlos King tour and everyone was excited to see Jennifer and Teresa. You know what I'm saying? So the next scene we get is of, what's her name? Margaret and Joe. So it looks like they're building another part of that house. I said, when are y'all gonna be done? But pretty much they're like in the little construction area. It looks like they're making her closet bigger, or if they're not making her closet bigger, I felt like maybe they were adding on to another part of the house. I really wasn't paying attention, y'all. So we see her sit down, and they get a phone call from the doctor's office, and they pretty much says that Joe's PCA results weren't the best, so the doctor would like an MRI. And so she's kind of like freaked out by that, so she ends up hanging up on that person and calling the doctor directly and being like, okay, so why does he need an MRI? Like, what's going on? And the doctor basically said that his PCA is elevated. Like, it should be 30, but his is at 70. And he was like, just because it's abnormal doesn't mean he has prostate cancer, but it is something that's concerning, so we would like to do an MRI. And Joe's like, okay. And you can tell that Joe is nervous, but he's trying his best to hold it together, because he can tell that Margaret is really like, she going through it. I think, losing Jan is freaking her out. Now she feels like maybe she might lose Joe. And I know that y'all have told me below that the kids did not invite her to she was banned from the funeral. She had to have her own thing, her own ceremony and everything. It is what it is. That doesn't negate the fact that the lady seems to have really loved Jan, and then like his passing has really startled and scared her. And you could tell that like now she's looking at Joe, worried about if he's going to have these issues. And she's trying her best not to like cry, but then she has anxiety about the situation, and so she starts crying. Joe hugs her, and she's like, why are you so calm about this? And he's like, I'm a glass half full, not half empty type of guy. And for people who do struggle with anxiety, you need those type of people around you. I know I'm someone who deals with anxiety, and a lot of my friends will be like, Leah, stop being pessimistic. And I'm like, girl, I don't know. So like, it is important to have those type of people around you. And I was glad that Joe was able to be level-headed, but I also kind of felt bad for him, because it's like, he's the one that's dealing with this health scare, not like, this is happening to him. And I wish the roles were reversed, where Margaret was, so I know she's supporting him, but I feel like she should be giving him more. But I also can it's a catch-22 for me, because it's like Margaret's dealing with grief. Life still goes on after people pass away. So it's like she's fighting her way through it, and Joe can see that, and he's trying to be there for her. But also, he might have cancer, which I don't think he does. But in that moment, he doesn't know that. And it's like, you need to be the strong one right now and lifting him up. But it's this sticky situation, basically. So it's time for Danielle's bougie kids event. Mind you, it looked like a baby shower because it was pink and blue everywhere, and I was like, I maybe should have went with different colors because that's all I thought about. I said, where the meatballs at? Okay, where the meatballs? Where the deviled eggs? And where is the pasta salad, ma'am? Okay. But everyone pulls up. We see Jennifer Fessler and Rachel get there first. We then see this scene of where it's Danielle, Jennifer Fessler, Rachel, and the two girls that were auditioning to be friends of or full-time cast members of the show. And so Jennifer Fessler asks Danielle, like, girl, how you doing? And Danielle is like, pretty much like, I'm taking it day by day, girl. I'm taking it day by day. And so Jennifer Fessler is like, so why did it get so heated? So then Danielle explains that she basically said that I stole from charity and, questioning my integrity. Then before Danielle could keep speaking, Rachel chimes in and she's like, girl, and plus online is crazy. They saying you hit her in the face with a glass pitcher. And Danielle rolls her eyes and was like, that's not what happened. The Tiffany girl chimes in and says, well, Danielle pushed her. And so she threw a drink in her face. And I said, she did not throw a drink in her face. She smacked her upside the head with a cup and it shattered. Like, if we gonna be honest, like, tell the truth. And I think that's why I'm looking at both Jennifer and Danielle sideways, because I'm like, neither one of y'all are being totally honest about this situation. The conversation was mad aggressive on both sides. Again, Jennifer should have never put her hands on that lady and shoved her with all her might, and Danielle had every right to defend herself and retaliate. But girl, you were being aggressive. You got shoved. You went upside her head with a cup. It shattered. It is what it is. You didn't throw a drink in her face. Mind you, had you thrown a drink in her face, the conversation would be totally different in my opinion, especially with the way people are speaking about this situation online. So that's when Rachel chimes in and Rachel's like, yeah, all the stuff online. So then Jennifer Fessler's like, she's telling a different story. So then that's when Rachel is like, girl, it's like all these hairdressers and all of this stuff. So basically Danielle's like, she said I stole from a charity. Jennifer Fessler's like, she didn't say you stole from a charity. She said you paid yourself back. She said she brought up Lena. Then they brought up the Marissa girl with the hair extensions. Next thing you know, Dolores walks in and Dolores is like, oh yeah, I have her hair extensions in now. And so then Danielle rehashes a story about how she was like, I let Jennifer know we weren't getting paid to do the photo shoot, and it was just like a heads up. I wasn't trying to take money out my friend's pocket and all of that stuff. So then next thing you know, Teresa walks in with Melania and Gia. So they walk in and you can see the discomfort in Rachel's face. Like, low-key, she looks scary. And so she immediately walks away while Teresa goes around and hugs everybody. And so Teresa's asking Danielle, how are you doing? Like, I hope you guys can work it out. But Danielle feels some type of way because she feels like Teresa is defending Jennifer. But I think Teresa is just coming from the standpoint of like, neither one of y'all should have put y'all hands on each other. And like, but that's hard coming from Teresa, the person that we know gets physical with people. But she's just kind of like, I hope you guys can work it out because I'm friends with both of y'all. And then Danielle is like, no, Teresa, she's evil. She's dark-sided, all of this stuff. But then Teresa is like, how can you say she's evil and dark-sided when you're friends with Satan herself, Margaret? And then Margaret walks in. I don't know why that got such a laugh out of me. I said, what? I giggled. I chuckled so hard with the way they lined that up. So then when Margaret gets there, everyone kind of like breaks up and we see Danielle and we see what's her name? We see Danielle and Margaret talk. Margaret's asking Danielle if she's okay. Danielle gives the same sentiment, like, I'm taking it day by day. Then we see on the other side of the party, Jennifer Fessler, Teresa, and Gia. And Gia asks Jennifer Fessler about the whole comment that John Fuda made about her. And so Teresa chimes in and she was like, yeah, like, Gia's like, comparing me to like going to jail and stuff like that. Like, I just want to know what all of that was about. And so Jennifer Fessler takes it upon herself to like defend John Fuda and be like, yo, my husband was sitting next to him. He basically was saying that, that whole situation that happened with Jackie and how, the analogy made you feel like someone was lying on you. He was saying that's how he felt about the situation. And then Teresa was like, but it's not the same because he actually went to jail and was convicted of what he did. My child is innocent. But then Gia is just kind of like, she has her own confession. She was like, I just want everyone to keep my name out out their mouth. I just want everyone to keep my name out their mouth. Jackie, Fuda, everybody. So then Jennifer Fezler's like calls over Dolores and she's like, no, explain to them like that John was not talking bad about Gia. And Dolores is like, no, he wasn't talking bad about you, sweetheart. He was just saying, making the comparison and stuff like that. And so Gia was like, okay. So that conversation breaks away, and then we see this huddle, and it's like Margaret, some party goer, Melissa is at the party now, and then Rachel, and then Jennifer Fezler goes over there, and I think they asked her, like, what were y'all talking about? And she was like, oh, I was explaining to Teresa and Gia about, the comment that John made, and explaining to them, like, he wasn't meaning it in a malicious way. So then Rachel was like, God, why are you talking about my husband? Stop campaigning for us. And then Jennifer Fezler is like, girl, what? Like, she's confused. And so Rachel walks away, storms off, and Margaret is telling Jennifer Fezler, like, stop bringing up her husband. And Jennifer Fezler was like, I didn't bring up her husband. Gia asked me a question and I was responding to it. We then see this scene of like Melissa and Jennifer Fezler like talking about this situation, and they're like at the photo booth in the event, and she was like, why were you talking to Gia anyway? She's a child. And that irritated me because I'm like, she's 23, 22 years old. Y'all have been talking about her, and she has been a focal point of this show since season 1. And the analogy that Jackie made got her in trouble. Like, she almost got kicked out of her sorority. She talked about that. Now you have John bringing it back up, trying to use her as an analogy. Even though I got what he meant or an example, I felt like, okay, stop speaking on people's kids, because one, she's an adult now and she can speak up for herself. And two, if Teresa said anything ill about your 3 kids, you be ready to start World War III about it. So I don't understand why people are mad at Gia for speaking up for herself. She asked a question. She ain't say nothing disrespectful to Rachel. Like, I could understand if she walked up to Rachel and was like, I heard your husband was talking shit, what's good? But she didn't do that. She asked Jennifer Fezler, who she knows her husband was around, and then Dolores came over and Dolores explained to her. So I don't get why y'all are mad at Gia online. So Melissa's like, she's a child. Why is she in this? So then Jennifer Fezler is like, am I crazy? Like, did I do something wrong? So she's talking to Dolores about it. And she's like, Dolores, isn't this she's trying to figure out if the sequence of events that happened really truly happened. And Dolores like, yeah, that's what happened. So then Margaret comes up trying to explain to her, like, why Rachel's upset. And then Dolores chimes in and she's like, Margaret, we were trying to squash it. Like, we were explaining to her what it was about. Like, nobody was talking trash about John. She was like, Jennifer Fezler was doing it, what y'all wanted her to do. Mind you, I don't know what Rachel wants, because in the beginning of the season, you were upset because you felt like Jennifer Fezler was like meddling and she wasn't having your back because y'all are best friends and y'all are friends like that. Now that she's doing her job that you want her to do, which is standing up for you and your family, your husband, you're angry with her. Like, if to me it felt like you were scared that Gia or Teresa was gonna come at you for what your husband said, because it wasn't that deep or that big of an issue for you to get that riled up by it. So then we see Rachel, Margaret, and Melissa having a conversation where Rachel is pretty much like, I'm okay if y'all defend me because, like, it's y'all but not her. And I'm like, okay, so you don't want her to, I get where Rachel is like, I don't want her in the mix, but it's confusing because you, in the beginning, you wanted her to defend your family. Now that she's doing it, you're mad at her. It's be mad at your husband for bringing up somebody else's child, because had Teresa said some slick stuff about your 2 kids, well, 3 kids, then you would be in your feelings too. So then Jennifer Fezler is like talking in a group, and then she was like, I don't get what's up. Y'all told me to do this. I'm doing what you asked me to do. And now all of a sudden Rachel mad about it. Girl, I'm over it. So then Rachel walks up to the group and she's like, then Jennifer Fezler yells at Rachel and she's like, why are you yelling at me? She was like, because you walked away. I said, oh, okay. Okay, so then Rachel grabs her kids. Jennifer Fezler's in her confessional being like, Rachel is a child, because this doesn't make sense. And it really doesn't make sense. So then we have this moment where Danielle and Rachel embrace, where Rachel's like, I'm pissed at Jennifer Fezler. Like, she needs to wear a shirt that says, I'm up Teresa and Jennifer Aiden's ass. And Danielle's like, you're not wrong about that. I'm like, okay, y'all. To me, the situation was blown all the way out of proportion. Like, Rachel, to me, overreacted because it wasn't that deep. It really wasn't that deep. And it really is giving like this is the Hunger Games and everyone has to pick a side and choose a side. And if you make one wrong move, it's a wrap for you on this show, depending on what fraction you side with. So that is it, y'all. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic and definitely hop down in the comments below and share your thoughts with me. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.